And lots of places are offering deals in honor of National Coffee Day tomorrow. Krispy Kreme giving away free cups of coffee. Same with all Barnes & Noble cafes. At Dunkin', if you buy one hot coffee, you get a second cup for free. We've been asking you all week, where are your favorite coffee joints? We've been hearing a lot of responses. Down in Canton, there's a place called Creme.
Okay.
Crema Espresso, thanks to the voice
Brooke.
in my ear, Brooke.
Brooke, the producer.
A lot of people liking that, but also a lot of people saying, in my kitchen, in my PJs. That's a real popular response.
And so Dom, it says Babe's Cafe and Bakery in Independence. And then someone else here, Rebecca said the Coffee Vault in Galena, Ohio, as well as McDonald's.
Galena? I don't know where that's from.
McDonald's.
Yeah. You know what, Shawan, I got a lot of was 5 Points Coffee in West Park. I mean, that's the one that went crazy when I asked the question of where's your favorite coffee.
Right.
So
I got a ton
5
of
Points, and then Mojo's in Bay Village is another one that I heard.
A lot of you like the home coffee too.
Right. Cheers.
This is our
Cheers.
That's how I feel today.
Let's get through the Friday and make it into the weekend for sure.
Carry on. Right?
National Coffee Day tomorrow.
Yes.
Make sure you celebrate.
There's a lot of deals going on. Tomorrow's the Starbucks deal, I think.